You are listening to the Walking Leader podcast, episode number 243.
Hello, I'm your host, David Guerra, United States Army veteran and author of the books The Walking Leader and Great to Follow. And again, I welcome you back to another action-packed episode of the Walking Leader podcast. The Walking Leader podcast is here for you, current and future leaders, to help give you the rules and the tools to help you succeed as a leader in your organization, as well as in your professional and personal life. The rules and the tools of the Walking Leader focus on getting you up and out from behind your desk to be out on the front lines, to where those you are leading are. They are in the trenches day in and day out, and that's where you need to be. As a leader, it is your responsibility to know how the battle is going, and there is no better way to know than to be out on those front lines where the bullets are flying. Thus, in this episode of the Walking Leader podcast, I continue to share with you our 2022 series on self-leadership and soft skills, where today we talk about the soft skill of creativity. So without delay, let's get started. In this episode of the Walking Leader podcast, as mentioned, I continue to share with you our 2022 series on self-leadership and soft skills, where today we talk about the soft skill of creativity. So you know how we do this. We break it down, we get the definitions, and then we get right into the heart of it. So let's define self-leadership. Self-leadership is based on you, current and future leaders, taking the initiative and being proactive. A self-leader means you are intentionally influencing your thinking, your feelings, and your actions towards your objectives and goals. Whether it be personal or professional or both, you must take that first, second, third, and every step after that to achieve those objectives and goals. Now, soft skills are the interpersonal attributes that enable someone to interact effectively and harmoniously with other people while performing those technical or hard skills you have learned. All right, now, creativity. California State University Northridge, the website that offers the following definition for creativity. Creativity is defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. Now, the Wikipedia entry, well, it's not too far off from that. And the Wikipedia entry for creativity notes, quote, creativity is a phenomenon whereby something new or valuable is formed. The created item may be intangible, such as an idea, scientific theory, a musical composition, or a joke, or a physical object, such as an invention, a printed literary work, or a painting, end quote. Now, why is this important? Why is creativity important? Creativity is important to you as an individual, as it is what you do, what you make or produce based on your knowledge, your hard skills, and wisdom combined. Yeah, it's important it's important in that this is when you share, let me rephrase that, I tongue-tied myself. It is important in that this is when you share with others what you have and what you bring to the organization or into the lives of others. Now, your ability to help create, manifest, and define change is done through the capabilities and abilities you possess, especially when it comes to creativity. Now, creativity is what you contribute to the success of yourself, others, and the organization you belong to. Again, keep moving forward, making things happen. So when it comes to making the lives of others easier, better, enriched, your creativity is what will drive that enhancement. And hey, who does not want a better life, better relationships, become a better human being? No, everybody wants that. Everybody wants all of that. So again, deliver on that. Now, what are the forms of creativity? Again, as mentioned, it's either tangible, intangibles. It's what you create, what you have in an idea, theory, what you can write on paper, then put it out into a podcast or a book or a video. And again, you're solving a problem. You're attempting to solve a problem. You're bringing a new perspective to an old problem or an old situation or a current situation. Again, the forms vary. It's all on you and what you bring to the organizational table. Now, what are the pros and cons of creativity? Again, when it comes to pros and cons of creativity, they vary. And of course, they're usually offsetting. What I mean is that for every pro, there is an equally opposite con. Because again, creativity is subjective, and that's one of the things we need to understand, that because it is subjective, it's open to interpretation. For example, creativity is what we do when called upon to do something original, different, and unique. The con is, to others, your creativity level may be unoriginal. It may be as the same as everything else and could be just quite commonplace. Right? So you see it as something new, different, original, but to someone else, again, on the other side, your level of creativity is lacking. And it's okay. Let's work with this. Let's work this through. Another pro, your creative output is based on what you can do. That's good. You're putting in your all. The con, your creative output is based on what you can do, and thus subjective to the level of, to someone else's level of interpretation. Well, they didn't do enough, or they did too much, or they overdid it. Again, let's work with it. The pro, your ability to be creative is yours and yours alone. Yes, because it's unique to the individual. Others may have more creative ability, and that's fine, and others may have less. And they may choose to make it a competition against you instead of competing against themselves and themselves trying to make themselves better, because there are people like that out there. They'll want to compete with you even though they cannot compete with you because they cannot compete with themselves. So let's dive a little deeper. Let's look at this from a little different perspective. As the Psychology Today article, and again, all article links are mentioned in the website on the show notes for this podcast. So it's Psychology Today article on creativity sites, quote, "There are many pieces to the puzzle of creativity, including a balance between controlled, deliberate thought and spontaneous play and imagination. Personality plays a role as well as biology and life experience. But everyone possesses the same measure of creativity, even if they don't fully realize it. Life is full of small moments that require new ideas and surprising solutions. A choice that you don't think twice about. How you cook a fried egg or the route you take to work. Someone else might find delightfully original." So again, it's even the other way around. The pro and the con might be flipped around. So again, just be aware that what's happening with creativity, it's all subjective, set to interpretation by others, by yourself. The level of creativity is your level of creativity. The level of someone else, it's unique to them. So again, enjoy the moment. Now, how to use the, this is to the point where the 7 habits, where I bring in the 7 habits of highly effective people. And when it comes to creativity, well, what I'd like to do is identify which of the 7 habits are directly impacted by the soft skill of creativity. Now, so let's look at all the 7 habits, and it looks like all of them apply here. It really, truly does. When it comes to creativity, habit number 1 falls right in line, is be proactive. Take the initiative. Take that first, second, third, and every subsequent step. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Again, know what you're doing. Know what you're being asked to do with your creativity. What are you trying to create? What are you trying to solve? What answer are you trying to bring? Habit number 3, and really this is the big one, is all about prioritizing, and it's putting first things first. And especially with creativity, sure, there are some people that are great at jumping around and I'll work at this part of the puzzle, and I'll work at the outside part of the puzzle, now the insides, all the reds, all the blues. That's fine, but they have a set of priorities that they work with. Put first things first. Habit number 4, think win-win. And this one, unfortunately, is something that's realized later on, after the end. Obviously, you're going to put in your work. You get your interpretation of what the work is that you're going to do, what it is, creative situation. And then you fine-tune it after the fact as to create win-win situations where everybody wins. Habit number 5, seeks first to understand and then to be understood. Again, this one is one of those ongoing processes, especially at work, where you're doing something, you're creating something, and people are not understanding, or you're not understanding what they want, or they're not understanding what you're delivering, and it's trying to work it through to get to a common ground. And of course, synergize, ask for help. No one person can do anything. Sure, you might be very proficient in using Adobe Photoshop, but there might be someone else on the team that's extremely proficient on determining color schemes. What colors go with what colors. They're very proficient at using the color wheel, and that's going to definitely play into the creations that you use and make in Adobe Photoshop. And of course, sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw. That's the 7th habit. And that's all about working it, and practicing and honing your skills, sharpening your craft. Sharpen your skills, hone your craft. There we go. And again, moving forward. Now, with all that being said, how and when to use creativity. Well, you should always know the what, the why, the when, the who, and the where. Tailor your creative message to your audience, either yours either to yourself or to the audience that you work for. And again, as I mentioned, if you're using it for yourself, obviously deliver to yourself, but make sure it meets your standards. Make sure you're using all your levels of creativity. But when you're doing it for someone else, again, this all falls into line. This is how you learn. See, again, going back to the Psychology Today article, it reminds us, quote, the trait of openness to experience correlates with creativity, encompassing a receptivity to new ideas and experiences. People who are low in openness prefer routines and familiarity, while those who are high in openness revel in novelty, whether that is meeting new people, processing different emotions, or traveling to exotic destinations. Accumulating these experiences and perspectives can help the brain forge creative new connections. Other characteristics that are linked to creativity include curiosity, positivity, energy, persistence, and intrinsic motivation, end quote. Wow, there we go. Big words. But either way, it does make sense. Again, being open, and that's how you use it, not lose it. That's how you gain it. That's how you enhance it. That's how you make it better. However, as with everything else we've covered, what happens when we fail in our creativity? If it fails, it fails. And the sooner you realize that it's going to fail, you'll know it's going to fail and you can move forward. But don't go in expecting it to fail. No, go in full force, 100 miles an hour. And then if you stumble, you fall, you fail, you pick yourself back up again. Because again, no one is perfect. Not a single person on this planet is perfect. I promise you. People would like to believe that, but no one is perfect. See, when it comes to acting on your creativity, please keep in mind that while you are going to do your best, the end result is always subjective to others. They're going to interpret that. Take the color red, for instance. See, you can use a deep red, and while others may view the red as blood red or burgundy or some other shade of red, and to them, it's not what they were looking for. It's not what they asked for. Is it a failure? No. No, I say it's not a failure, but was it? Well, it's a lesson learned. What is it then? It's a lesson learned. And now you know for the next time to get more detail before beginning the project, the task, any new operation. Again, what color red do you want? What real color of red do you want? Fire engine red, blood red, burgundy? Right? So again, it's up to you to take that and learn from that. Next time, ask more questions. The takeaway here is to ensure that it may be a win, even if others see it as a fail, because again, you finished the project, it's just the wrong color, no big deal. Determine what went wrong from there. Again, it was the wrong color, no big deal. And ask the following questions. What went right? What was right about it? Well, your layout design might be good, but the color was just wrong. That's what went wrong. What could have been done better? What should have not been presented? What needed more attention before presenting it? And most of all, do not be discouraged by the failure or any kind of failure in your life. All you do is you let it happen and hit the ground, stop moving, get back up, dust yourself off, and get back at it again. Stand up, dust yourself off, get back at it again, and get to work. You want to solicit feedback, especially because you know you're not perfect and you know you can always improve. And again, this I'm not saying anything new. This I've said before, time and time again. So ensure what you're trying to convey can be understood, and through feedback, what was not understood can be turned around and made understandable. Now, when it comes to creativity, can it be mastered? I say yes and I say no. Yes, in that creativity as a soft skill can be mastered. It's unique in that it is unique in that inherently you must be proficient with some forms of creativity and completely found lacking in other forms of creativity, and that's okay. So no matter what it will become, no matter what it's going to become, it's going to be a very important skill to not just have, but ensure you're setting yourself up with it to lead others. And it's a great tool to lead others because people will see that you have a certain inherent skill set and creativity feeds into that skill set. But it also shows that you're not afraid to learn more and increase that level of creativity because now you have more in your bag of tricks, in your wheelhouse, if per se. And again, ensuring that others see that. And that's going to help lead, motivate, and inspire others well into the future because, again, they see you bring level 3 creativity, but within time, given time, practice, training, and developing, you're now at level 6. And you're continuously growing. So stay on top of your personal growth when it comes to developing your creativity and the near endless ways of showing that creativity, of delivering. Again, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's something that is going to definitely pay off because if you already bring a level and you're working to increase that level and you're doing what can be done and you start being open to gain that experience, you're open to deliver on what people are asking for and you're being proactive about it and you're understanding them and what they want, then it's a good thing. So don't stop learning. Don't stop being creative. Keep working on your creative. And again, I do invite you to visit the website, the show's notes, this episode's show notes on the website at daveguerra.com. as I share some links to the books, audiobooks, and ebooks on creativity. So be sure to visit that. And again, I can't iterate that enough. Don't stop practicing. Don't stop working on your creativity. That's it for this episode of the Walking Leader Podcast. What do you think of what I just talked about here in this episode 243? Have any questions, comments, concerns, remarks? I mean, hey, reach out to me, dave@daveguerra.com. That's my email. On Twitter @DaveGuerra, and let me know you heard the podcast and let me know what you think. Really want to hear from you. I wouldn't ask if I didn't want to hear, and I want to hear from you. So again, don't hesitate. Or you know what? You can leave me a voice message on the Walking Leader hotline at 956-720-0060. That's 956-720-0060. And don't forget, I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think. I also want to thank you for your time. I do appreciate you making it to this point of the episode. I am Dave Guerra, and author of the Walking Leader, author of the books The Walking Leader and Great to Follow, and I got ahead of myself again. I invite you to subscribe to the Walking Leader podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all of those other streaming services. And of course, you can always find all of those links at the daveguerra.com website. And I invite you to visit the website as well. Lastly, I want to remind you to always go beyond the grind and go beyond the hustle, because that is the only way to be the walking leader and a leader that is truly great to follow. Until next time, I thank you.
The Walking Leader podcast is a David Guerra presentation.